All right, fellas, here we are. New place, new studio. You guys just got finished recording radio. And for those in our audience out there that don't know, we're in Atlanta, Georgia. And about March, I guess it was, of last year, we started a local radio program, retireatlradio.com, if you're interested in that. But so we're here in our partner's studio where you just wrapped up. And so we're trying a new thing where we want to bring a little bit more long form, a little more discussion to you guys in our channel. Maybe we can hit some different kind of topics. And we all grew up in the heyday of ESPN, classic ESPN. It was great. And Top 10, I mean, if you went to middle school without watching Top 10,
you had nothing to talk about.
You're at the other table.
Oh, yeah.
100%. Sure. So we're going to do a radio top play. All right. So I was in there listening, and I've got a couple things I want to just pull out. So for today's segment, top radio play, you guys were talking about, and I don't know when you're watching this at home, but it's probably going to be in the first year of Trump's second term. But to the radio audience, you were just talking about if someone's plan for their money involves who's in office or some political party, right, or is on a 1 or 4 year term because of political parties, you might be in trouble. So we've got a clip we're going to listen to right now.
President Trump on NBC News talking about the tax cuts.
We're going to be extending as soon as we can the Trump tax cuts because, they're coming due and they're very substantial for people. And it would be I think it will anger a lot of people, frankly, if we don't get an extension of that. That's what led us to one of the greatest economies ever.
I mean, is it fair to plan on him extending these cuts, or are you planning for these not to get extended? Like, you don't want
to. Hold on.
Out.
Let's go back to what you said last week.
We got to plan for the worst.
Last week,
okay,
you said something about risk. We were talking about the market going up, the market going down. This is going to be the year. And you said something profound. You said, if your plan is a 1 year plan.
Yes.
Or even a 2 year plan.
Or a 4 year plan.
Or a 4 year
about,
plan.
Presidential.
Yep. It's not a plan.
It's not a plan at all.
All right. So, sitting in my seat, I don't think a lot of people know that independent of who's in office, you could know right now, what are you going to be paying in taxes in your retirement? Tell us a little bit more about how can you even do that? Because I don't know.
Yeah, you got to make some assumptions. So, the one thing we don't know is what our tax rate's going to do. And that's where it can start to get cloudy because everyone wants to focus on what our tax rate's going to do this year. Are Trump's tax cuts going to stay? Are they going to go? And yes, those things are helpful to know. This is the year. Those things are helpful to know. But we can tell you how much you will pay in taxes in and through retirement. Now, this isn't helpful if you're 30.
Right.
I mean, this is for somebody who's getting ready to retire or they're in early retirement. We can tell you based on where your money's allocated and how much income you're drawing from all your different sources, Social Security, Roth, pension, 401k.
Yep.
Based on today's tax rates and what we know today, we can tell you exactly how much you'll pay in taxes over your 20 or 30-year retirement. Absolutely. It's not that difficult to do. You got to be set up to do it, and we are, but it's something we do as part of our full-blown retirement plan. It's called the tax map.
I think an error is made when you say, okay, I don't know what the income tax rates are going to be in 20 years.
Yep. Nobody does.
Therefore, I guess we can't do anything. I guess we just won't do anything at all because we don't know what the exact percentage is going to be. I think that's an error because we can get really close to being there.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's off by a little bit, but, if you can get something 90% right, isn't that better than doing zero at all?
Well, not only that, but it's also, we're probably undershooting the tax reality. Exactly. Because if we're using today's tax rate environment, we're in a historically low tax rate environment if you just look at the top marginal rate going all the way back.
Right.
So we're probably undershooting the impact of taxes in retirement, which even furthers the discussion around why you probably should consider making some changes.
Exactly. And that's where I was going next. If we're always going to stress test it. So even if we knew what the tax rates were going to be in whatever year, or at least had a more solid idea based on history and based on the kind of the trajectory things had been and all that, even if we felt confident that we knew that, we would still stress test it.
Yeah.
So the point is, we can make a plan based off of whatever it might be. And maybe your more conservative as a retirement as a retiree or as a person planning for retirement. You want to be extra conservative. You're really concerned about taxes. We're going to stress test that even more for you as compared to someone who's like, no. I think taxes are going to be solved by the tariffs, or fill in the blank with whatever it might be. You may be more aggressive. Fine. We're going to stress test it to whatever level that you're comfortable with the assumption in your plan. But we can we can sort of predict, I should say, within a certain level of confidence, what you will pay in taxes. But this is the more important part, what you'll pay if we make some changes. So step one is what you'll pay if we on the trajectory that you're on currently, we don't make any changes to your plan. What are you going to pay in taxes? Okay, we suggest these 2 or 3 adjustments, and here's what you'll pay in taxes, and it's significantly less. Well, I mean, I don't know that anyone who would say, no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather just not know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's the logic for a lot of folks. Just because I don't know the exact tax rate that it will be in 20 years, just don't plan at all for it. That makes no sense.
Most people don't even know that you can see a side-by-side comparison.
Right.
Like you can see the trajectory that you're on right now. That's your point A. That's where you're going. And it's the default, right? The default is going to be you're paying a lot of taxes to Uncle Sam forever. And it's no wonder that that's the default, because who writes the tax code and all of that, right? The government's set up to get theirs. But most people don't know that you can see a before and after. Like you can actually make an educated decision about this. Most financial advisors don't want to have this conversation because it requires a pretty significant amount of work to get there. But how do you even make this decision if you don't see a before and an after? And we've actually built our business on showing people the before and the after. We do it with all of our life insurance discussions. We do it with annuity discussions. We do it with retirement planning as well. Here's your before. Here's your after. Here's your A, your B, your C. Which one do you like?
Yeah.
Here's how they all work. Which one do you like? You choose. There's no right answer.
It's a good point, because I think that the most important aspect of a plan is it's something that you can reference for decisions.
Yep.
Like a plan isn't just predicting the future.
No.
Like a plan is saying like, hey, we know something's going to go wrong at some point, and here's the different options you have in the before and after, the side-by-side contrast to make those decisions. When should I file for Social Security? How much am I going to pay in taxes? What about market risk? What about all the different things it can be? If you've got a plan, you've got a basis to reference to make decisions off of in that moment versus, something happened. I've got to make a decision that I wasn't planning on. Now what do I do? And if you're just left to Google at that point, I mean, you're in trouble.
Got to be careful, though. We're probably moving on pretty quick here, but I got to be careful. Again, this is not for the 30-year-old.
Right.
This is not for the 40-year-old. This probably isn't even for the 50-year-old. This is for the person who's like imminently retiring or in retirement.
Yeah.
Because if we get too far away, well, then there's way too many assumptions on how much are you saving and what's your actual balance going to be when you get there. So if you want to know how much you're going to pay in taxes in and through retirement, and you're there, you're at that point, we can help with that.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I think this is a topic we're talking about here and with you watching now is if you're like me, who I'll turn 40 this year, my parents are at that finish line type of retirement age. And for up until this year, I kept my mouth shut about anything that might have to do with that. That's their business. They've worked their life for that. And so I'm staying out of it until I really got into this industry. I've spent the last 5 years with you, and I couldn't hold back anymore. I needed to start asking some of these questions. So maybe this is just helpful for anyone watching. Maybe this is about your parents being armed with this, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, do you guys think about like what you're going to pay in taxes? Or has it just been accumulation through your working years and now my guy manages it. So hopefully that's helpful just in thinking about when and how to ask the tax question.
And you had that conversation with your mom, and she said I had a beautiful voice.
Sultry. Yeah. Sultry voice.
That's sultry
That's right.
voice.
Sultry voice. Awesome. Okay, well, we're going to try and keep this in bite-sized segments so that everybody doesn't get bored to hearing us talk about the same thing over and over again. So we've got, we're going to walk through several different segments today, and I'm excited about this next one. I can't wait for you to hear it. The land of YouTube comments. So funny.
I'm kind of nervous.
Behind the scenes, just so you guys know, Matt's not allowed to go into the YouTube comments on his own. It puts him in a way. It's dangerous. It's dangerous for him, and it's also dangerous for you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is for everybody's benefit that we keep him out of the comments, but not today. Segment of the week, YouTube comments. I've handpicked one for us today, and here it is, fellas.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, Matt, go for it.
All right. This is from Dank044. It's okay. Oh, great. I got 30% plus in an ETF for 2004. IUL is just a crappier way to get market exposure. 10 to 12% during a fantastic market year isn't that great, TBH, which I believe the young kids means, to be honest.
That's right. Great job. Great job, Matt. Wonderful. Yeah, so this comments from a video we did recently on real life returns that we see inside of our own clients, some of the top returns, what's possible, because there is a lot of noise out there in the IUL space that the things that we're seeing isn't possible.
Right.
So
wait, is he saying that he's admitting defeat on the 10 to 12%? Like he's like, hey, that's great that you've got that, but it's not that good. Is that what he's saying? He's not saying it's not possible.
No, what I hear is like, hey, cool, you got 10 to 12. I got 40.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
So,
and he's not wrong, if I can be so blunt.
Hey, I invested in crypto and I got like 1,000. so
what's
IUL sucks.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, right.
What, and obviously this is just his thought. He wanted to leave the comment, but what's missing? So if you're watching a video on IUL returns, and we're just showcasing some of the possibilities, and even in the video, Brady on our team says, these are not our expectations. Let's be clear, not our expectations, but it happens, and here it is. And you get this. So what do you think he might be missing that would give someone coming and reading that full context so that they don't walk away going, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of information that's missing here.
Yeah.
So like,
for sure.
Aaron, number one, how old is this person?
Right. How much money does he have?
How much money does he have?
What does he want?
Right.
What's his time frame?
Right.
What's his risk attitude?
Right.
Like if he's got an ETF that got 40% in a year, well, guess what? That means he could lose 40%.
Hold on. Does he have all his money in that ETF? Because if he doesn't, he's an idiot.
We don't know. Correct.
Right? Because he got 30%. But does he have money in his bank? What's he doing? Does he have a cash account? Why? He got 30%. Does he have money in anything that's getting less than 30%? And if he is, or she, this could be a she, Danko, 44, what are you doing? How could you do anything other than put all of your money in this ETF that's going to get 30% every single year?
Well, clearly this person's a billionaire.
Right.
Because if you're getting 40 every year, it doesn't take very long to invest some money, and there you go.
Yeah. So okay, right. YouTube comments, they're the home of the extreme.
They're wonderful.
They're the home of the extreme, and they're the home of the no context. So bringing it back into kind of just a productive, like helpful conversation, like what you guys both touched on two things.
Yeah.
One, diversification. You talked is all your money in one place, and then you mentioned risk. Could you just kind of specifically with the blah, blah, blah. How do you say that word, Matt?
I think you specifically.
If you
English is hard.
Can you take it is some especially for me.
At least you're not typing. I mean, my gosh,
guys, it's a struggle.
That's true.
Also, if you grew up in our era, they didn't teach us how to spell.
No.
They just threw us to the wolves.
Spelling bee was spelling class.
That's right.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking about IULs, and it says it's a crappier way to get market exposure, 10 to 12%.
I'd say he's right.
Aaron, I want you to talk about risk and what risk plays into making an IUL decision to have one or not. And then Matt, you talk about the diversification.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, yeah. So the risk conversation is one. In our process, if I take a step back, even just outside of the IUL versus ETF, but just in general, when you're talking about investing and growing your nest egg and all that goes with that, your investment plan or even your investment strategy that you currently are using is only as good as you can stick to it through the ups and downs. So what I mean by that is my favorite quote by an unlikely source: "Everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the mouth." Mike Tyson. I mean, it's just great, but it highlights the fact that everything sounds good when you're winning the fight or when you're the one throwing the punches, and all of a sudden one comes back at you and you're like, whoa, I don't know that I accounted for that. Well, that's the case with investments as well, and that is this. If you have your assets, your investments set up in a way where if the heat gets turned up, and the returns that you were experiencing, that you were enjoying, all of a sudden aren't there, or worse, you're experiencing serious losses, are you going to flip the switch and jump out? Because if you are, you have no plan, and I would argue that you don't have any sort of basis for taking risk and how much risk you should take. So that has to be established first, because every investment decision that you have to make is an ETF better, or is an IUL better? Is a fixed guaranteed product better, or is this, crypto, high risk? Who knows what the reward is going to be? Is that better? Well, we could, if that's your question, everything's opinion, and you're going to stake your financial future on someone's opinion. So you've got to find your parameters, or your bumpers, if you will, for how much risk you're willing to take, and also even beyond that. You should be taking different levels of risk with different, aspects of your money. So if a person's got, for easy conversation, if you got $1 million, well,
it's all in that ETF.
Yeah, don't put all of that $1 million in any one thing. Not an IUL, not one ETF, no one thing. So and if that logic carries through, then there's got to be some basis for, well, how should I break this down?
Yeah. How
much should I be taking a lot of risk with? And how much should I be taking no risk with, and everything in between. And if we aren't thinking in terms of that, then you're just basically gambling, which is fine. If that's what this that's what I
do with crypto. I gamble.
If this is money that you're gambling with, and you're just like, hey, I want to swing for the fences.
Great.
Well, then by all means, go with whatever ETF is going to pay the most. Don't get an IUL that's actually geared for something totally different.
Right.
And when you know which ETF is going to pay the most, just let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, first in the comments.
Let us know first which ETF is going to pay the most.
That's exactly right. So
if I were to add context here, I would just say, I agree. I totally agree. If you wanted market exposure, you would use a VUL. Hello. Let's just think of life insurance as the wrapper. The wrapper is giving you some tax benefits and a death benefit. Now, if you want that wrapper exposed to the market, good chance you can own that ETF in a VUL, if that's what you want. Most people come to us and they are not looking for market exposure with their life insurance wrapper. They are looking for a risk-off asset. Hey, I've already got $3 million in my market-linked accounts. I don't need more market exposure. I don't care if I can earn more because I know that I can. What I want is something that can be non-correlated to everything else I've got. Okay, well now we're clearly in the camp of something like an IUL or an indexed annuity or whole life insurance or anything that can be correlated to the market upside and uncorrelated to the market downside.
Right.
And so I just love that he's making our argument for us. He's saying, hey, 10 to 12%, I will agree that that's possible. Thank you. I appreciate that. And also, you're right. The IUL's not the way to get maximum market exposure. Absolutely. That's why most people who come to us looking at IUL are looking for risk off, not risk on.
Right.
And I would also just say, the next time that you know which ETF is going to do 30% next year, just let us know first. And then, it'll all be good. You'll be forgiven for your comment.
And we haven't even gotten into, we don't need to right now, but one of the most important reasons to get into an IUL isn't the how high of a return can you get. It's actually the income generating aspect of it.
Right.
That an ETF isn't even in the same
You can't
universe.
even think of them that way.
It's not even comparable. So,
yeah.
Not that it can't do it. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Totally.
There you go. Hey,
that was great. We can stop there. I got my blood a little bit. But
I saw you getting there. This
I appreciate
is a
the
good
comment.
time to stop, and it'll be another week or two before we expose you to another comment. So
beautiful.
All right, so we've got our radio top play. We just did our new segment, YouTube comment of the week. Last segment of today's show. It's going to be the meteor one, and we're introducing everybody to something we're calling Legacy Mountain. Okay, we all like to go outside. We like to hike. We like to, I think, train for all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
And life can kind of feel like, when you think about money, it can kind of feel like a mountain. You're climbing up to this peak of retirement. And a lot of people talk like that. But we were thinking more along the lines of once you get there, you got to come down.
Yep.
And so we got a little graphic here we're going to show.
There
And
it is.
Matt, you've got your pen.
I do.
Can you just kind of walk through, this is what we're going to call Legacy Mountain, and we're
Yep.
going to touch on different aspects week after week of Legacy Mountain. And so explain it to us, and then I'm going to toss you kind of a specific question that happens on the way down.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, first things first, Legacy Mountain here. And yes, you do have to make it up the mountain first. And so if we're talking about making it up the mountain, that would be, come on now. There it is. I can do it. Guys, I can do it. I can do it. There it is. There it is. As you go up the mountain, that's your accumulation years, right? So this is, you're young. You're the person from our YouTube comment who's got all their money in the ETF making 30%. You don't care about risk off, right? You just want maximum market exposure. And the truth of the matter is the way up the mountain is easier. The way up the mountain is easier because you have more time. You can make mistakes and you can recover. Not that big of a deal. Once you get to the top of the mountain, which we've got flagged here as retirement peak, once you're at the peak, that's where you're going to have to make a couple big decisions, and you're not going to be able to make those decisions again. So we're talking about, are you going to employ a Roth conversion strategy? How are you going to file for Social Security? All these things. Big decisions.
Which country club do you sign up for?
Exactly. These are things that in a lot of ways you can't do it over. And so our job, the reason that we want to talk about Legacy Mountain specifically is because the way down the mountain in life, in retirement, it's more dangerous than the way up.
Yeah, like that's where you bang up your knees.
It's slippery.
That's where you like twist ankles.
Totally.
You just got all the weight of
In
everything.
fact, talking about that,
Yeah.
we all went to Wyoming on horses. We went up a mountain, top of the plateau.
Oh,
What was that called?
Buffalo Plateau.
Buffalo Plateau.
Yeah.
So we're on top of Buffalo Plateau, but then you got to come down from Buffalo Plateau.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you guys felt, but the way down the mountain on a horse, much more difficult than the way up the mountain on the horse. Sure. My knees hurt more. My toes hurt more. You have to kind of sit back in the saddle. Everything hurts more. What if the horse trips? You're already, angled down, a little trip, and you can easily just kind of lose your balance, careen forward. It's the same with retirement, okay? You make a wrong step on the way down the mountain, and you can fall down the mountain. You can't fall up the mountain. You can't fall up the mountain, but you can fall down the mountain. And so our goal, the reason that we're talking about these things, the reason we talk about taxes, we want to show you the before and the after, let you make the decision, educate you, is because you got to get this right, and you can get it right. And if you get it right, you may be actually able to enjoy your retirement. That's why enjoy is on here.
That's right.
Most people that we see that come into the office, and I'm talking physically, because we have our physical location in Woodstock, Georgia. We're on the radio. People come in all the time. They talk to us. Most often what we see is people are not enjoying their retirement. They are locked up because there are some decisions that they need to make. They know they need to make them, but they don't have a good outlet for information.
Yeah.
They're getting all kinds of conflicting stories and information, and so they're locked up.
Yeah.
And the thing that's supposed to be fun and enjoyable, spending time with family, they're not able to do. And so what we're going to be talking about with Legacy Mountain, I think we have, like 150 topical kind of discussions. We're going to be talking 150 topical discussions on how you descend the mountain so that you can enjoy your retirement, so that your money can be empowered and working for you, and you can live the life that you want to live. And so we're talking about income, we're talking about taxes, we're talking about risk, we're talking about long-term care, and 150 other topics in between.
That's right. So Aaron, the topic for today, now we all have a clear picture of what is Legacy Mountain, and we're going to be talking about this week after week. So I hope it's a helpful framework to have these conversations. But we're gonna stop at the enjoy flag here and just ask the question: how do you eliminate or decrease the amount of doubt and fear that come with trying to enjoy retirement? I don't know what it feels like, obviously, but that moment when you decide you're not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
you're not going to get a paycheck anymore. Surely there's, unless you're, have saved up extreme amounts.
Or you got a pension or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. There's this doubt and fear start to creep in. What is it going to be like when I don't get that paycheck? How do you address some of those things?
Man, that's real. I mean, that's why we exist.
Yeah.
This is one of the most fun parts, for me at least, of all that we get to do every day for our clients, is that seeing the smile on people's faces when they realize, like, oh, it's not just possible. Like, the dream I had, it's imminent. It's here. Well, I think the first thing you have to do is, if I can say it this way, eliminate the extremes. I think if you talk to someone who's approaching retirement or even in it, and you say, to Matt's point, why are you locked up? Like, what is it that's preventing you from enjoying this? And what's often mentioned, or what's first mentioned, is something like, well, 2008, I felt this way, or, my grandma in the Great Depression, or, and any number of things
I've
like
lost
that.
a bunch of money throughout my working years.
Yeah. Or we had one, we're in Atlanta, a Delta pilot. Well, Delta went bankrupt, not that long ago.
Change.
Pension changes.
Yeah.
So whatever the situation is, I think one of the first steps is remove the extremes. And what I mean by that is, like, if we can take out all the horror stories, like if we can guarantee that you never have to deal with, something that extreme, like my money was cut in half overnight. Well, we can actually guarantee that doesn't happen, or any number of things along those lines. Remove the extremes, I think, is the first step. Like, if we can just, we'll work on fine tuning and getting down to the details of what exactly you want and what's in your dreams of retirement, how you want your days and your weeks and your months and your years to look like. We'll get there. But let's just start this first step down the mountain. Let's remove the extremes. Right? Let's get, if you're really nervous, if you've had a paycheck for 40 years, every 2 weeks, you've just gotten that paycheck. Well, and maybe you want that. Maybe the idea of having what I call mailbox money. Like, hey, whether I go to work or not, guess what shows up every 2 weeks? A check. These days it's a direct deposit, but you know what I mean. Maybe you want that. Well, guess what?
That's still on offer.
You can create a guaranteed personal private pension where you get those paychecks every 2 weeks. We can build that for you. So that removes the extreme either of market conditions and losing my money overnight, or it removes the extreme of, well, now what do I do? My paycheck stopped. Just remove the extremes, and now we can focus on what you want to actually build to enjoy.
Right. Yeah. Just watching you guys educate over the years, I think one of the things that I was surprised by most was how doubt and fear tends to be tied to someone's perspective that they have to make one choice or there's only one option.
Right.
What's the right choice?
Yeah. And well, there's a lot of people on radio. There's a lot of big personalities on YouTube. There's a lot of big personalities in local markets that have a way and a truth to do something.
Yep.
And working with you guys, what I've seen is that's the furthest thing from the truth. There's 10 buckets of services, products, and tools that can be mixed and matched and used or not used to create exactly what a person wants.
Can I rant for a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
Matt got to rant a minute ago. He got to get his blood pressure up a little bit. But
Yeah.
what I hate about our industry, I don't even like calling it industry because that sounds, the services that we provide and our counterparts, our competitors. What I hate, there's a lot of things, but one of the reasons why we exist is to combat this very thing, and that is people who are basically salespeople. They're not advisors. They don't provide a service necessarily. That's not their aim. Their goal is to sell financial products. Well, if you're a salesperson, whether you're selling cars or you're selling homes or you're selling whatever, you have to try to create a need for the product that you're selling. You've got to try to create and help someone. I've got to convince you that you need what I have, and I'm the way that you get what you need.
And you're going to prey on doubt and fear.
Yeah, and so you have to find something. I've got to contrive the environment in your brain. I've got to try to contrive an environment for you where maybe you don't even know it yet, you need what I'm selling. And the two primary ways to do that, and I hate it that this also tends to happen with people who have spent 40 years saving up and they're at this crux of making some significant decisions, and that's the environment for this to happen. You've got salespeople who use fear and greed as a tactic to create this felt emotional need on your behalf so that they can now sell you a product. I hate it.
Yep.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Which is why we have a process. Look, I'll tell you right now, don't even take my word for it. I mean, like, we have a process that takes you through where you are, point A. And that's just inventory. That's just facts on a page. I'm this age with this much money, and here's where my money is. 401k, IRA, Roth, whatever it is, pension, Social Security. Facts, point A. Let's do point B. Okay, point B is where do you want to be, right? Let's define your retirement, even loosely. Let's define it. And now let's talk about how to get from A to B. Well, we're going to be bringing to any clients or people who want to engage us for that plan, we're going to be offering ideas. But we never offer one idea. Look, you're trying to get from A to B. If you ever used a roadmap before, there's 50 ways to get there. There is a best way to get there. But
there's a fastest way.
There's a fastest way.
There's a most scenic way.
Yeah. There's a shortest way, not always the fastest, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. We're going to be offering ideas, and you get to decide which one you like the most. It might be down this path. It might be down that path, and you can see the pros and cons. Don't take my word for it. Don't come into my office and if I'm making you feel, if you leave my office or if you start a conversation with me and you feel your stress increase, walk right out the door. I almost said something else.
Oh yeah, man.
Right, that you know
he
what?
Is fired up.
Like just turn around and walk back out.
Yeah.
If anyone makes you feel in a financial planning, an investment management conversation, your blood pressure, your temperature, your fear, your anxiety is rising, I would say you're on the wrong path.
Yeah.
And so don't. I hope people who are listening don't fall into the fear and greed sales tactics that are out there. It drives me crazy. A process is the way around that.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is our first episode of this. I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. We've touched on Legacy Mountain and doubt and fear. And, you know, one of the good things about starting this channel long ago is we've had years and years and years of perfecting how do we work with people virtually. Like, you know, I mean, on the IUL side, 99.9% of all of our clients and relationships are across the country. They're totally virtual. And we have a unique way of going about this whole plan, which is completely virtual. The meetings can happen over Zoom, but we're bringing an element to this planning space that we think is really unique, and it's an actual video review. So if you've been with us, we've told you that if you have an IUL and you want a second opinion, you can send that to us. We talk about those each and every morning as a team. We go into our studio, we record a custom video just for you, talking about your IUL and what we see. And then you can do with that what you want. Mm-hmm. And so we've brought that same process into the planning space. We need some information. It's a bit of a longer review because it's pretty exhaustive. Matt, you talked about taxes, risk, and income. But we're going to do that work. And you don't have to. We don't charge a dime for it because at the end of the day, we are. And I've watched this just be true. We want people to be empowered with their money.
Yep.
And why do we spend time on YouTube? Why do we educate? Why do we talk about this stuff? Is so that it's there forever. So people can watch this video 3 years from now and hopefully still be getting some version of truth from it and helpful advice. So if that's you and you're curious, if you're watching and you're wondering if your parents have a plan, and you send them the video. You know, we would love to help, and we have ways of making that really seamless virtually wherever you are. So hope you've enjoyed this. We've got more segments. We've got more topics. Like Matt said, 150 to cover just on Legacy Mountain.
Yep.
But check back next week with episode number 2. Thank y'all.